What's up, guys? Lucas still with Optimum Athletes. I'm here with Eric Del Prado, the assistant coach and hitting coach for Lewis and Clark up in Oregon. Eric and I go way back.
Way back.
Way back.
Way back.
We were teammates together at Willamette University in 2014, 2015, and part of 2016. And yeah, dude, first of all, thanks for coming on.
Of course, thanks for having me. Obviously, it's good to be my first time in Sacramento. Good to see the land you spoke so much about back in the good old days. But yeah, thanks for having me. It's looking forward to it.
Yeah, so Eric went on after we graduated and is now coaching with one of our assistant coaches, Matt Kos-Durka. And to this day, Kos was one of the best coaches I played for. And a thing that stood out to me about Kos was he didn't have one way of doing things, right? Mm-hmm. So if you came to him with a question, regardless of if it was pitching or infield or hitting or anywhere in between, he would say, hey, if he knew about it, here's a couple ways to do it. Let's try all three. If he didn't, he'd go home that day, research it, come back the next day and say, hey, I found these three ways of doing it. Let's try all three and see which one works for you. And from what I hear, it sounds like you guys are implementing a similar philosophy over at Lewis and Clark. Mm-hmm. Nothing is, cookie cutter. Not everyone has to hit the exact same way. And talk to me a little about that and how you kind of go about getting these guys to be themselves and have success.
Yeah, I think you touched on it greatly when you were talking about Kos. Obviously, he a great coach, and I think the way you put it is great. I think he uses the term smorgasbord or like buffet option. Try and give as much as we can to the guys, and like they pick and choose. And I think when you watch like big league guys or really good guys, you can see like there's similar tendencies maybe that they all have, but they all move a little differently. And I think like when you think about an athlete or even just a person, like everyone's going to move a little differently. So trying to find the best way for them to move to achieve the goal of hitting the ball hard is obviously the way to do that. There's some tendencies that all really good hitters have, but how they get to those is very individualized. And I think I think the basis of what we do at Lewis and Clark is kind of going off that. We try and individualize as much as we can. We try to take as much video as we can. Obviously, I think we can always take more. And like in the the summer reflecting phase, where we're kind of looking back on things we did well, things we didn't do well in the last year. I think that's something that we definitely want to get better at, is like making sure we can always snap some video of some guys at a station in practice or something like that. And like I said, using the video to individualize. We're super lucky, have hitting Rapsodo and Blast, which starting to integrate those more and more into our practices. Like I said, to kind of individualize and show, like I said, what some things guys do really well and some things they can work on and going from there.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, when you have those tools that can kind of pull back the curtain a little bit of what's actually going on, you can look at those numbers and say, hey, based on these numbers, maybe we need to move towards this in your swing or maybe towards this way in your swing. But you said the best, something we believe in at OA here too is, while there might be aspects or certain things that we want to see in a pitching delivery or a hitting a swing, not everyone goes about doing those things the exact same way. Not everyone gets the same exact positions or the same timing or just anything being the same. As every human is different, everyone moves a little differently, and so being able to not restrict someone's strengths because you want them to move a certain way is huge. But yeah, you guys have made a lot of strides at Lewis and Clark, and I think you had the best season that you've had in 12, 13 years last year?
Yeah, I think like looking winning percentage wise, we made some good strides, and obviously, a testament, the kids have worked really hard and they, work really hard to get better. And kind of like I said, obviously we want to keep making strides.
Always improving.
Yeah, and getting better and better. But yeah, I think, I think a lot of that goes back to kind of what we touched on, of trying to individualize it the best we can to like make sure that, each guy kind of maximizes their potential on and off the field,
right.
Which obviously it then helps the team when you kind of bring that back into the team aspect side of things.
Definitely. I mean, obviously the kids are the one putting in the work, but I can't nothing but good things to say about you and Kos. So I think you guys are doing a huge part of that.
Stop making me blush.
But yeah, another thing that kind of want to like just point out to the people at home is Lewis and Clark is a D3.
Yes.
And I think you probably had the same goal I did in high school. Almost every single kid wants to go D1. They might say D1 or die. Or obviously there's a lot of good D1 programs out there, but there's a lot of talent that gets to the D2, D3, NAIA level. Mm-hmm. And sometimes if it's a better fit and these guys can develop more, right? If you go to a D1 program and you get lost on the shelf floor, maybe a program at the D1 level might be good because they get really good players and they don't really know how to develop guys. if you're a guy that still needs to develop or you want to kind of get the best out of yourself, you need to kind of find the right situation, which might be the D1 level. But there's a lot of places like you guys. I had a great time at Westmont, like that can develop these guys and take you to a spot that you weren't the same player that you were your senior year of high school. Mm-hmm. So, if you can bring in a guy, and if you look at his junior year, senior year, and all of a sudden he's doing something he wasn't able to do 4 years ago, I think that's a huge success. And I think that's probably a big reason why you guys had a more successful year this year.
Yeah, I think obviously, I think that obviously Division I schools are the schools that are on TV, but I echo what you're saying. There's good baseball everywhere. I think I think 7% of high school baseball players go on and play at the next level. So obviously, if you're anywhere in that minority, like
right.
Playing at any level is a huge accomplishment. But yeah, like just like you said, there's a ton of opportunities for development and just for fit. Like I know, obviously where we met, there's a lot of people that we enjoyed our time there. A lot of people at all different fits enjoy their time, and I think that's touch on it, going to the right fit. Going to a place where maybe you're wanted or where your market is. Like the schools that are talking to you are the schools that
mm-hmm.
think you can help them. They can help you, and if you're looking for certain schools that aren't calling you back, maybe it's a good sign to
look somewhere else.
If you look somewhere else. But I think echoing your point, like there's great baseball. I think like in our conference, I think there's been a guy drafted or signed professionally, like going back, I think since as long as we've been there, usually one or two guys a year. So there's options if that's something you want to do. But I think the best part about it, what you said, is you can find a fit that works for you and helps you make memories of a lifetime. Like set yourself up for the next 40 years of your life and be in a good spot post playing career.
Well, I think it's something that I talk with a guy, high school guys hear a lot about, and I feel like I'm almost beating a dead horse, but you never know when someone might be hearing this for the first time by watching this podcast. But at those levels, there are guys that are going to go play professionally. Two of my teammates at Westmont are playing professionally right now. One's in AAA, freaking 2 years out of college. When we were freshmen at Willamette, we faced Chris Hadlin, who was the number one pitcher in all of D3 back-to-back years. PLU had multiple guys bringing it 90 plus. Like, there's good competition out there at every level, and if you go somewhere and you can develop and become the best version of yourself, then that's probably a good fit for you. So I know you're here in Sacramento right now doing some recruiting.
I am, yes, I am.
And it's a big part of obviously any coach's job to get good players. What kind of things are you looking for high school? What can a high schooler do to kind of stand out and get noticed by a college coach?
Yeah, I think the old adage is kind of true. Like obviously, if you're good enough, like they'll find you now. To the extent that is kind of depends on the level, and there's obviously ways to market yourself. I think with the event of cell phones and video cameras, that's a great way to kind of get yourself out there to college coaches. I think sending quick 2-minute videos, to the coaches, the schools you're interested in. Like I said, maybe you don't know what level you fit at, or you have a wide range. I'd say you talk to a high school coach or a club coach or someone you work with about, hey, maybe what levels you see yourself fit in. And I think the best way, obviously, just start creating a relationship with the coaches that are interested in you, and get to know them, and they're working to get to know you as well, so you can both sides figure out if it's a good fit. But I think I think really the biggest thing is focusing on improvement. I think now with like the advent of a lot of people, you can track your progress and you can see like, hey, last year I was throwing the ball this hard, this year I'm throwing it X miles an hour harder, or I was swinging the bat this fast last year and I'm swinging it this fast now, is great things. I think with all that stuff, there's benchmarks that most colleges have, whether you use the data or not. Like you could say, hey, this guy helps our team get better, or this guy doesn't. So I think keep working on improving, and then kind of what I touched on earlier, reaching out to coaches. I think going to events where there are schools that you're interested in and are interested in you is really important, because like you could be interested in a lot of schools, but if they're not interested back in you, like it may be a waste of time and money. But I think the best thing is kind of be yourself, keep working on improving, and then once you get to know, or once you get some interest from some schools, work to create a relationship, and whatever you feel like the best fit is for you, let's go choose that place.
Definitely. I think you said a lot of good stuff there. Just to kind of unpack it a little bit, first thing is linear trends in the right direction are good signs, and could be catch some coaches' eyes, even if you're not quite throwing 90 plus yet. If you were throwing 75 your sophomore year of high school, and then 77 your junior year, now you're throwing 80, 81, and you can talk to a college coach about, hey, here's what I've been doing, this is the progress I've been seeing, I want to keep doing it. I think maybe by the time I get there in the fall, maybe I'll be 83 to 85. And things like that are good signs. That are something that you look at more than just like, okay, obviously if you're throwing 90 plus, you're gonna get some coach's eyes. But hey, there's other things like, hey, if I'm working in the right direction, I'm making this progress, and I can track it, right? So more things that can paint a better picture, right? I know when we have guys and coaches call about certain guys, they want to see like Rapsodo data. On the hitting side of things, you guys have certain things you want to see, either Rapsodo data or TrackMan data. I mean, that's probably harder to get at the high school level, but maybe some blast motion data.
I think everything any data you can get is great. Like it's kind of just for lack of a better term, it's just more data points you can add into the equation. And I think a lot of showcases now do a really good job of kind of integrating that into their showcases. Putting blasts on kids' bats or Rapsodo or hit tracks or whatever to send out the exit velocity, where they hit the ball, how high they hit the ball, where they hit the ball hard and stuff like that, is all great information you can take and learn from. But even if kids don't have access to that, because obviously that stuff does cost a little money.
Right.
Even like I said, just sending some video or doing your best maybe to go to a facility that has it and say, hey, can I use this for a little bit? So I think the more information you can collect, Optimum Athletics has it. The more information you can collect is always better.
Yeah.
And just finding ways to maybe there's you see some tools in a kid that maybe doesn't pop up to your eye, but it pops off the blast, or vice versa. Just kind of trying to collect as much information as you can to kind of get the best picture of you can as a kid, as you're going through the recruiting process.
Well, I think that was kind of like, for the longest time in baseball, was kind of thought of as the best player having 5 tools, right? A 5-tool athlete, being on the field, catch or throw, hit with power, speed. And then now it's like, maybe not more tools, but an extension or an easier way to show off those tools with these data points. Like, hey, I wasn't able to go to the showcase, you can't see me play, but here's some data in my average exit velo for, this BP round was 90 or something like that, to where you can highlight those tools, and it might be separate tools, I'm not really sure, but just some more data to kind of paint a bigger picture and be able to kind of just put yourself on display. And the other thing was, especially now in 2021, everyone's got a camera, just conduct yourself smartly.
Yeah.
I think it kind of goes without saying, but we're going to say it anyways. Coaches are always watching, and whether it's at a camp or whether they see something on Twitter or on Instagram, if you post something stupid or you kind of self-incriminate yourself, that could be a way that you could lose a scholarship or lose some interest. So be a good person and just watch what you do, and carry yourself with class, respect people. Obviously, the play on the field needs to be there too, but if you're a bad person off the field, it might ruin some opportunities for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think kind of like touched on earlier, like both sides are trying to find the right fit. You want to make sure that the guys you're bringing in are people that you want to spend time around with for 4 years.
You're going to be there freaking 5-6 days a week.
Yeah, and that they're going to help keep your culture in a good place, and or improve it, or keep it is where it is. So I think those are great points. Is it's kind of finding a fit. Once the talent you get a talent level, you're trying to find the right fit for both sides, and I think that goes both sides too. As a player, you need to kind of know what coaching styles you like, or what coaching styles you don't like, what that type of stuff. And I think there's going to a practice or their team. Mainly, I think if you're on a visit and you go to their practice, you can kind of see what they're like in there, or in a game, you can get a feel for that. And it's like, hey, like I really like a coach that's not on. Like I like to play and like kind of a little more laid back coaching style. Like you should go to a game and check it out to make sure that's what the coaches you're going to play for are. Or if you like a guy that's on you all the time, like you go into a place that has more of a laid back style, like it's just not going to be a good fit for either side. So making sure you're really working through that process.
So you got to know yourself too. I mean, that's kind of like, one of the bigger reasons I went to Westmont at JUCO after my experience at JUCO and previously in college. I knew I wanted to go to a spot that did the driveline program, and what kind of coach I wanted. I wanted a coach that actually like was a little bit more hands-on, but was more understanding and was able to kind of let you be you and didn't have you kind of fit into that cookie cutter thing that we were talking about. And talking to Rob Hill when he was at Westmont and going down and kind of seeing that they had all the driveline stuff and watching that, I was like, okay, this is where I want to be. So it was a big reason I went there. But last time we both know a couple different people in different situations that have happened where a guy had a talent level and maybe had even been committed to a spot and it didn't work out, or they maybe didn't even make it there because of actions they had off the field or the type of person they were. So it's the whole package. Be the whole package. Do what you can. But yeah, Eric, you have any final thoughts or closing?
I don't. I guess.
Go Pios.
Roll Pios, go Pios, and I think the biggest thing is if you're a player, keep working hard and having fun. And I think the good you'll be at a good spot if that's what you want to do. Thanks for having me on. I've enjoyed it. And thanks for being my tour guide in Sacramento.
Anytime,
it's been a pleasure.
I appreciate you, bro.
Of course.